What's going on, everybody? Good late morning or early afternoon on this Friday. Made it to the end of the week, just about. And now we're going to talk about yet another angle on this Pete Carroll firing and the subsequent fallout for the Seattle Seahawks. So, I want to talk about some of these assistant coaches that were part of the organization under Pete Carroll and what might happen with some of these guys now. Now, we already know that the assistant coaches and positional coaches on the Seahawks were given the opportunity to go pursue employment elsewhere by the team. They were told basically, look, if you have an opportunity to get a job somewhere else, go ahead and take it. We're changing things up here. We don't want to keep you guys on a leash when we don't even know if our next head coach is going to want you. So feel free to scatter. And in most cases, I feel like that's kind of the default assumption, right? You get rid of a head coach, you're going to get rid of most of the people he had on his staff. And the next head coach is probably going to want to hire his own guys anyway. So there's no benefit to holding those guys in place when all you're going to do is release them after all the good jobs are taken and then they have no more choices. And we've seen in the last couple of days, this is old news now, by the way, but Shane Waldron a little bit ago got an interview with the Chicago Bears for their offensive coordinator job. So he might be moving on before too long here. Waldron did not have the highest amount of success here in Seattle, but I think there were some extenuating circumstances there. And I think he may be somewhat coveted by some location now if he is truly free. But I want to ask people if there's anybody on this coaching staff that you would miss in this new regime, and if you think there is anything worth saving from that old regime. Because there is some precedence for coaches, assistant coaches, positional coaches surviving the head coach getting fired. Kellen Moore remained as the offensive coordinator in Dallas when they went from Jason Garrett to Mike McCarthy. I think Mike Zimmer kept his job in Dallas as defensive coordinator when they went from, I want to say, Dave Campo to Bill Parcells. If I could be wrong about that one, but I think it happened. Every now and then you do see a situation where assistant coaches survive the head coach. So it's not impossible. But is it something that could happen in this particular scenario with the Seahawks? So, first of all, there are a lot of assistant coaches and positional coaches on this team that we probably really don't want to keep around. Guys like Clint Hurt, like I'm sorry, Clint. I'm sorry if you see this video one day. It's just not really working out that well. I don't see much of a reason to keep Clint Hurt around. So, if this process plays out and Clint Hurt is still available as a coach, I don't think we would go, hey, do you want your old job back? No. I think you would want to get something new, something different, something that the new head coach wants. The new head coach comes in, he's like, okay, I want my guy. I want a guy who will do things the way I want them to do. Even if Clint Hurt's good, you might see something like that. And you're going to see a lot of the positional coaches leave for the same reason. Now, our positional coaches weren't doing such a bang up job that they're all going to get promoted around the league. So they may still be available when this process ends. But what would it take to keep some of these guys around? And do you think any of them are worth keeping around? Like, for instance, Shane Waldron. I want to talk about this a little bit here because I honestly don't mind Shane Waldron. He's had bad moments, he's had good moments. All in all, I think the results he's produced are reasonable given what he's had to work with and the situations that he's been in. And more importantly than that, this is an opportunity maybe to keep continuity, which might be valuable. So let's say the Seattle Seahawks hire Jim Harbaugh. Let's say they hire Ben Johnson. Let's say they hire Van Pelt. Let's say they hire Dave Canales. Offensive minded coaches are probably going to want to come in here and get their own guy. So if that happens, of course Waldron's gone. And that he should be gone in that case. If you're bringing in an offensive minded head coach, he should get to do things his way at every single step of the way. So if that happens, which I think most of us would prefer, then okay, there's not much to talk about there. Everybody goes, we get all new assistants, all new positional coaches, maybe one or two spots we just preserve a little bit of continuity, but in terms of things that have a significant impact, probably all rolls over. However, What if the Seahawks decide to hire a defensive head coach? What if they go with Mike McDonald from Baltimore, Brian Flores from Minnesota, or a guy like let's say Mike Tomlin gets fired. Well, imagine if we got a Mike Tomlin, somebody who is a defensive head coach. What if they just come in here and they're like, look, I'm here to fix the defense. I don't think the offense is doing all that badly. I think the offense is salvageable. I want to keep continuity going with the crew that we have because I'm going to keep a lot of these players. I'm going to keep Metcalf. I'm going to keep Lockett. I'm going to keep Geno. I'm going to keep these offensive linemen, these tight ends, these running backs. So that guy could come in. And I think this effect is most present with the current in-house favorite, Dan Quinn, to just come in and go, all right, Waldron, you do you. You do your thing. You have control of the offense now. Do whatever you want with it. Let's keep the continuity flowing. I'm not going to mess with you. I'm going to focus on the defense. Is that a possibility? Could that work? Could that be something that we see so that the entire boat doesn't get turned over? Because remember, we still have the GM that participated in some capacity in the hiring of these assistants, of these positional coaches. John Schneider here had something to do, even if it was only a small role, with the hiring of Shane Waldron. So there is somebody still in this house that may like Waldron and want to keep him around, even under a new head coach. So Dan Quinn comes in here, hypothetically. Let's say it's Dan Quinn. It could be a couple of other guys as well. Vrabel, I guess, could also be in that conversation. And they just go, look, I'm not really that worried about the offense. I think Waldron has done an okay job, all things considered. I want to see what he can do outside of the shadow of Pete Carroll. I want to see what he can do in this fourth year. I want to see if he can build on some of the momentum they were building last season. I want to maintain what the offense had built because a lot of these players have spent 1, 2, 3 years under Waldron already. So maybe they just go, hey, keep it together, roll it back, run the band back, and let's see if Waldron can do better with Pete not there. Is that on the table? Could it work? Is that something that you would want? So, yeah, basically I'm just trying to figure out how to make this work the best possible way because I know Waldron wasn't great, but he did good work with Geno, turned Geno into a guy who's accounted for 50 touchdowns over the past 2 seasons. He did great work with the receivers. He's turned our receiver core into one of the best receiver groups out there. He's done good things overall with this offense. We had a top 10 offense 2 years ago, and this most recent year, it dropped off, but that's what happens when your whole offensive line spends the whole year in and out of the blue tent. So I think that Waldron might be salvageable. In fact, I've gone on record and said I think he is salvageable, and that continuity is valuable. If you blow it up and bring in all new offensive coaches, like I'll do it. But if somebody like Dan Quinn rolls in here and he doesn't really care that much about the offense, he just wants it to be good and he wants to focus on the defense, maybe continuity would be better than just going to get another offensive coordinator who knows if they'd be better than Waldron. Who knows? Like, of course Ben Johnson would be better than Waldron. Of course Jim Harbaugh would be better running an offense than Waldron. But if you're not getting one of those guys, maybe continuity is the play. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Just, again, trying to figure this out. Trying to figure this out from every angle possible. More videos coming later. We will continue to dissect this head coaching thing. There's a lot to talk about, and I am here for all of it.